Hello and welcome to today's Year 12 Microeconomics video, Public Goods on TJ Economics. Of course, a public good is any good or service that is both non-rivalrous and non-excludable, leading to the free rider problem and market failure. Let's look at those two characteristics then. The first one, non-excludability. It's a simple idea, but one that you need to understand. Once it has been provided, the provider cannot stop any specific consumer from consuming. And then non-rivalry, when one consumer consumes the good or service, it doesn't reduce the quantity available for anyone else's consumption. A little side note here, be very careful. Public goods and public sector are not the same thing. It's a very easy mistake to make, very similar names for things, but a public good is a very specific definition. It has to have these two characteristics you see on screen. But the public sector, it's just anything owned, run, funded by the government. So for example, in the UK, the NHS is an example of a public sector, but not a public good, because healthcare is not a public good. It doesn't have the two characteristics. So be very careful with that. Let's look then at non-excludability. Take a lighthouse, for example. A lighthouse is non-excludable because once the lighthouse provider has provided the lighthouse and it's shining a light over the shoreline, once I provide that for one passing ship, I can't then stop any other specific ships from benefiting, i.e. I can't exclude specific ships from benefiting from the lighthouse as they pass. I either provide it for all of them or none of them. It's non-excludable. Non-rivalry then, as we say, me consuming it doesn't harm your ability to consume it. Let's look at street lighting. Great example of non-rivalry, because if I walk under the street lamp, it doesn't reduce the ability of anyone else walking under the street lamp or passing motorists or anyone nearby to also benefit. It's not as if me consuming the street light affects your ability to consume the street light. So those are the two characteristics of public goods. But I find the thing that students struggle with quite a lot is then explaining, why does that lead to market failure? What is the free rider problem? So we have these two characteristics we've just looked at. Because of that, we get the free rider problem, which is when consumers enjoy the benefits of a good or service, but allow others to pay for its provision. That is because of those two characteristics, consumers have no incentive to actually pay for the good. After all, if someone else pays for it, I can consume as much of it as I want. Therefore, because no consumer has an incentive to pay, it means firms can't actually charge consumers for it because no consumers will pay that price. Given that firms can't charge a price, it means they also can't make a profit. And as we know in economics, we assume that private firms are profit motivated, and therefore, if they can't make a profit, they won't provide it. This means the free market won't provide enough or any public goods, leading to what we call a missing market. So there you have the free rider problem and why firms don't provide public goods. Let's specifically look at market failure then. Put it in a chain of reasoning. Market failure is when the free market fails to allocate resources efficiently, therefore leading to decreased welfare when compared to an optimal allocation of resources. Due to non-excludability and non-rivalry, private firms cannot charge a price or make a profit in providing public goods. Therefore they won't, and there will be a missing market. Given that public goods result in missing markets, with none of the good or service being provided, it's reasonable to assume that less is being provided than society would optimally provide. As a result, the free market has failed to allocate enough resources to the public good, and market failure has occurred. It's quite a simple chain of reasoning, but as you can see, it's quite technical. It involves talking about profit incentives, it involves talking about excludability and rivalry, the free rider problem. It's quite technical, but if you can master it, it looks pretty good. So a summary then. Public goods are those that have the characteristics of being non-excludable and non-rivalrous. Due to that, it leads to the free rider problem, where consumers have no incentive to pay for their provision and will wait for others to do so. Therefore, firms don't make a profit and will choose not to provide them, leading to missing markets. Due to missing markets, public goods are underprovided and market failure occurs. So thank you for watching a short one today, but an important one nonetheless. If you have enjoyed, feel free to follow me on Instagram or Twitter. You can see the handles there on the screen, and feel free to like and subscribe as well. There'll be plenty of economics on TJ Economics soon.